Welcome to the penultimate round of Norway Chess 2025. We have the China number one Wei Yi entering into the scene. He pulls back his chair, takes his seat. His opponent, the world champion Domaraju Gukesh. The tournament is at a very interesting juncture right now. Potentially 5 people have a chance to win the title. Who will it be? Will it be Fabiano Caruana or Magnus Carlsen or Gukesh or Nakamura or Arjun Erigaisi? Lot at stake. Wei Yi is not in with a technical chance to win this, but he still definitely wants to spoil others' chances, also make sure that he finishes in top 3. He's there calmly adjusting his pieces, and in comes the 19-year-old world champion Gukesh, who has had a very interesting and fighting tournament. Gukesh has had many decisive games in the classical format itself. He did beat Hikaru, he did beat Arjun, he also beat Magnus in classical, but he also lost to Hikaru, he lost to Magnus one game, he lost to Arjun one game. So Gukesh has been like in this kind of topsy-turvy train, but today is a very critical day because if he manages to win in the classical with white pieces, he would surely have a chance to win this tournament. He is half a point behind Magnus and 1 point behind Caruana. We have the guest of honor there making the first move, 1e4, and Gukesh quickly takes it back because who knows if he has some other move on his mind. Maybe he may want to play something else in the position. And there you see Gukesh adjusting all his pieces calmly. And Wei Yi waiting for the start of the game. Their previous encounter ended in a crazy battle where Gukesh first Wei Yi had a great position out of the opening, then Gukesh had winning chances, eventually a draw, and then the Armageddon was won by Wei Yi. And there you see Gukesh taking a few moments before the game, just calming himself down, getting into the zone. That's very important for him. He shakes his hands and let's go. First move, pawn to e4 by Gukesh. And this has been his go-to weapon in this tournament. And Wei Yi says, well, I'm going to be solid today, Gukesh. Let's see what you've got up your sleeve. Just like how Magnus Carlsen, I think, approached the game. He chose the Berlin. What will Wei Yi go for? Knight c6 is the main move in this position. But Wei Yi plays knight f6, the Petroff defense. He attacks Gukesh's e4 pawn. And this is considered by many as one of the most solid opening weapons out there. And now it remains to be seen how will Gukesh battle this. Because if he doesn't have a new idea up his sleeve, most of the lines finish in equality here. Knight goes back and now black takes it. The Petroff defense is something that has been used by many players across the years to fight for, a very solid position out of the opening. One of them being the great champion Vladimir Kramnik. The other present day is Jan Nepomniachtchi. He uses it extensively, but Gukesh goes for this line, knight c3 takes, which was actually all the rage around a decade ago. Vishy Anand was playing it when he was the world champion, and it's very aggressive because you get your bishop out, you put your queen up, and you long castle. Now, black has a choice to castle short or to just wait where the white king is going. But Wei is like, I'm in for a fight here, which is interesting. Queen d2 is the main move, but Gukesh goes one step ahead. Queen d3. Wow. That's a new idea. It has been played before by Alexienko against Matlakov in 2021 and by Sethuraman against Deep Sen Gupta in 2022. One of the ideas is to go h4 followed by knight g5, trying to attack on h7, but first Gukesh puts his king on the queen side. I'm enjoying it. I'm loving this battle. Opposite side castling and first new move of the game. Like this has never been played before. c6 was played in most of the games. Knight c5 attacks the queen. Queen c4. Gukesh still in his preparation. Wei seems to be out of his prep. He is at 145. queen c4, and Wei Yi quickly gets his bishop out. He's asking Gukesh, hey, what's on your mind? I have all my pieces out. Well, Gukesh's queen now goes to f4. That's the point. You are into the attacking zone. These are the kind of squares where some tactics can happen around the black king. He's gotten his queen there. He wants to now start pushing his kingside pawns. Pawn to d5 played here by Wei Yi in the center of the board. And Gukesh now can push c4, making use of this thing. But he goes knight d4. Very interesting move. He wants to maybe pick up the bishop. Or maybe he just wants to use g4 and knight f5. Bishop comes out to d6, attacking the queen. Now there are two options. Go back or trade the queens with queen g5. I'm pretty sure that Gukesh is not going to trade his queens. He comes back. Queen f3. He's in for the attack now. And now this move, queen d7 played here by Wei Yi. And he is threatening bishop g4 to win an exchange. Gukesh stops it with h3. I mean, Gukesh could have also taken the pawn, the bishop here, forcing fe6, but he did not. And now Wei Yi goes c6. Time-wise now, both players have equal time. Gukesh, out of his prep, goes now g4. He wants to put his knight on f5, and he's gaining space. It'll be interesting to see how Wei Yi counters this. Wei Yi goes very direct, f5. In fact, there's something to be said about both Gukesh and Wei Yi. They play moves which sometimes look very risky, like in this case, to take the bishop to weaken the light squares of black. But Wei Yi sees that it's fine, and now this move is a big shock and a surprise for me. g5. Why? Because now black can play f4, push the bishop back, get his bishop on this long diagonal, either to bishop f5 or bishop f7, bg6. f4 played here by Wei Yi. Powerful move. What is Gukesh going to do? And how come he makes these decisions like g5, allowing the pawn to come to f4? Remains a big question to me. Rook e8. Wei Yi says, all my play is in the center here. I'm happy to bring and centralize my rook. And now Gukesh plays rook to g1. He improves the position of his rook. Also, he wants to play h4 but doesn't want the bishop to come here. Actually, Gukesh isn't afraid of this bishop surviving. I'm a bit surprised. There is this beautiful maneuver which needs to be thought of, but Wei Yi plays bishop f5. And yes, he's coming in with his bishop to e4, but Gukesh can simply chop it off now. Knight takes f5. He can take it. Gukesh thinks for a bit and takes it after 6 minutes of thought. Queen takes f5 played here by Wei Yi. And now this c4 move really feels like the right one. Because when you have the bishop pair, yes, Gukesh goes for it. When you have the bishops, you want the position to be open so that the bishops can breathe here, can feel it. Now black can keep the position closed, but Gukesh might even kick the knight away. So Wei Yi goes right into the heart of the position. Knight e4. The knight is well placed here. And bishop to d3 played by Gukesh. He's getting his pieces on good squares. Knight d2 is possible, hitting the queen so that this queen is not hanging, but I'll simply recapture. He goes queen e5, getting out of the pin. And remember, putting pressure here, there are also ideas like bishop a3 in the air. If you take, I checkmate you. Rook e1, beautiful move by Gukesh, the best move. Pinning here, also with ideas of bishop c3. Bishop comes to c5, he's attacking the pawn on f2. And now, pawn takes pawn is the best move here by Gukesh. He finds it. Amazing. Gukesh has already made 5 moves, which are the top engine choice here. Pawn takes pawn. And now, a very important move, rook e2. Does two things. Defends f2, plans to double the rooks. He finds again rook e2, the best move in the position. And now Wei Yi blunders. He makes a huge mistake. Knight takes d2. And you know, his idea is if you take my queen, I'll take yours and I'm winning. You can take back rook d2, But then bishop e3 is his idea. What a beautiful tactic. Pawn takes, and the rook is hanging. Wow. But here Gukesh goes bishop h7. How is this working? If king takes h7, we can understand he wants to give a check and pick up the queen. But king h8. And Wei is asking, because if you go queen f3, I have queen h5, I have queen e2. But he takes on d2. Oh my goodness. What a move here by Gukesh. Takes. By the way, just so that you know, now bishop e3 wasn't working because of bishop g6 and mate threatened. Anyway, takes here, rook takes d5 by Gukesh, attacking the queen and the bishop. Fantastic play. Gukesh gets up from the chair. He believes he has a winning position. Wei Yi now goes queen e2, offering a trade of queens. If Gukesh takes, rook takes, take here, this is equal. But Gukesh finds g6, another classy move. If you go here, you are in trouble with rook h5 check. So king g8. And another beautiful move. Oh my god. This is the 10th move that Gukesh has played on a trot, which is the best move in the position. Queen b3, the rook moves, there's a check coming in. Bishop e3 played. It is important because you couldn't do anything else. Your bishop was hanging. The rook was giving us some deadly discourse. Bishop e3. If you take here, he wants to trade the queens and fight in this endgame. So the best move for Gukesh, king b1, again finds it. Again plays king b1. What a move here by Guki. King h8 played. And somehow Wei Yi has come out of this. He has controlled the h5 square with his queen. Everything looks pretty okay. But now Gukesh says, I'm taking your pawn. You can't take with the queen because of rook h5 mate. So he takes back with the rook, attacking the queen. Very important to now be careful because this is a threat. Queen e1 checkmate on the back rank. Queen b4. I absolutely love this move. You control e1, but you also attack f8, threatening to checkmate here. And he goes rook to c8, attacking the c2 pawn with his rook and the queen. And what does Gukesh do here? He goes rook to c1, defending the c2 pawn. And if you look at the position, Gukesh is right now a pawn up. Rook e4 played here. And I think rook c1 was good on 2 counts. c2 is defended, back rank issues solved. Queen a5. Now threatening check here. Also threatening to snatch a pawn. Why not? But be careful. Be very careful. If you are not careful, then queen c2, rook c2, rook e1 can be a mate if the queen is not controlling the square. So king g8 played. So like taking this pawn would be a huge blunder because of queen c2. b3 played. And Gukesh is saying, I have everything under control in a way. Everything is looking good for me. Why should I hurry? I'll play simple chess. I'll take out the back rank issues, make space for my king. Wei Yi now thinking hard, plays rook e8 back. One of Wei Yi's ideas is to play f3, f2 and try to push the f pawn down the board. Gukesh is like, thank you Wei Yi for this free pawn. I'm very happy to have taken it. He goes back queen e6 and the queen comes to d4. Attacking f4. Also maybe rook d7 and attacking g7. So f3 played. Wei Yi is looking also to win the g6 pawn. It still looks like some kind of a fight, but rook g5 is a beautiful move by Gukesh. He's defending the pawn just, and f2 cannot be played, you lose it. So queen e4 offering the trade of queens. And now Gukesh calmly captures the queen. He's like, this endgame is totally winning for me because now I'm 2 pawns up. Rook f5, I love this move. He's going to take this pawn and then he has 2 extra pawns on the queen side even if he loses g6. And Wei Yi stops the clock. Gukesh wins. Unbelievable play. Insane play by Gukesh, I must say. From move number 19, he played all the best moves of the engine until move 40. And I think this was maybe one of the most accurate games. What I love about Wei Yi here is how calm and gracious he is in his loss. And look at Gukesh there analyzing. I think it's just beautiful to see this. And Gukesh, by the way, with this victory, now reaches on the number 2 spot because Magnus did beat Caruana. So he's still half a point ahead of the field, but Gukesh is half a point behind, and tomorrow's pairing is going to be an absolute rock star. That is the final round. Gukesh is going to take on Fabiano Caruana, while Magnus Carlsen will be playing against Arjun Erigaisi, which is going to be so exciting, because if Arjun manages to hold or beat Magnus and Gukesh manages to beat Fabi, Gukesh might as well win Norway Chess here. And they are looking up at the screen trying to see what moves had been played to analyze there. And Wei Yi had a great position. And by the way, the arbiter says there are a few games going on. So if you guys can analyze later, but the players are so much in the trance, they want to just understand where they could have done better, what is it that they could have improved. It's just very interesting. I want to just show you those those few tactics that happened after knight takes d2, which Gukesh calculated beautifully. And I think it just goes to show that Gukesh is in great form tactically here in Norway Chess. Of course, positionally, he didn't play so well. He didn't play so well against Hikaru as well. Even in this game, he was, I think, in a worse position. But once the board opened up and tactics flowed in, there was nothing stopping him. And I think finally both the players kind of agreeing upon some point. And I love how Wei Yi has a smile there. Gukesh has a smile. They might be the biggest rivals on the board, but once the game is over, they both have a smile on the face. That is just epic. That is just epic. Both extremely humble, Wei Yi and Gukesh, and that is quite nice to see. And both of them putting back their pieces. Let's go to the analysis board and check out. And there, Gukesh giving his mark of respect to the board, and of course, he will fold his score sheet like he always does. Let's head over to the analysis board to check those few bit of tactics that happened in the game. I want to actually join in this position where Gukesh took the pawn cd5 to show the importance of this idea. So rook e2 here to defend f2 pawn would be wrong, because after knight d2, the same tactic with bishop h7, king h8, rook d2 does not work anymore, because after king h7 there is no rook d5 like it happened in the game. That is one thing. So Gukesh first times this, weakens the d5 pawn, plays rook e2, and Wei Yi could have gone something like b5, king h8, g6, but he goes for this tactical sequence where he says that, hey, your queen is also attacked. Now Gukesh could take here and say, okay, my position is fine, I don't have problems, I can play this. But he finds this sharp move, queen, bishop h7. It's clear that this position is better for white. He is winning the queen here. So clearly this was not the issue. King h8 was a very key move to be foreseen. And here after rook d2, this entire idea of bishop e3 that Wei Yi could have played doesn't work because of bishop g6, bishop d2, king d2, and you could give me a check, one check, but after king c1 there are no more checks and you can't stop this. This is how dangerous this position is, because no one can stop this check from happening. So that is one problem. The other problem now after king h7 is that after rook d5, and notice that Wei Yi had seen that queen h5, king g8, there is nothing, there is no g6, queens get traded. He had calculated all of this, but suddenly the tactic came in the center. And what is even more impressive is to find this move g6. Of course, king h6 is met with rook h5, king g8, and here Gukesh finds this incredible move, I must say, queen b3, laying down this nice discovery, because if you try to block it, I simply win the bishop and I'm 2 pawns up. And so here again, this bishop e3, there was another tactic which was rook e3, which could have been very interesting to see, because if I take queen takes, trade the queens, and then bishop takes and g1 is hanging. So c3 turned out to be would have been the best move. I'm sure Gukesh would have found this one as well. While Wei Yi played here, king b1 again, great hold on the nerves, then taking here, and finally after queen b4, the waters had settled down and Gukesh was winning.